Okay, in the last video we defined the unit circle so we could use it. We said define the sine of an angle, that's the y-coordinate, cosine of an angle, that's the x-coordinate, and tangent of any angle, that's y divided by x. Quickly, let's just define the other three. So the inverse of sine, cosecant, is really just the inverse of the coordinate. You do 1 divided by that coordinate. Find cosecant. Find secant. We'll do 1 divided by x, since cosine and secant are opposites. And for cotangent, I'm sure you can already guess, but instead of y over x, it's just x over y. The main focus of this section, though, is to find the angle if you're given the ratio. So if you have the ratio, let's say, of square root 2 over 2, and it says find sine -1 of square root 2 over 2, it's up to us to find the angle that corresponds to that. With the -1, this is called arcsine, or we could say inverse sine, but more commonly is referred to as arcsine. So if you see arcsine square root 2 over 2, it's asking you to find the angle that corresponds to that. Now, there's one big thing to watch out for, though. If you're trying to find arcsine of an angle, or arctangent of an angle, not arctang, but arctan, you're going to be looking between negative pi over 2, or 90 degrees, and positive pi over 2, or positive 90 degrees. So you're looking for that angle on this side of the unit circle if you're trying to find arcsine or arctan. If you're looking for arccos, or cosine to the -1, you're going to be looking between 0 and pi. So for arccos, let me go ahead and grab a different color here. Arccos, you're always looking in this area for the angle that corresponds to the ratio you're given. So let's say you had arcsine of square root 2 over 2. So of course, sine is the y-coordinate, so we're looking for where on the unit circle. We have square root 2 over 2, and it's here at positive 45 degrees. Or if you were doing this in radians, you would say it's at pi over 4. So a ratio of square root of 2 over 2 is equal to 45 degrees, or pi over 4. Now let's say, for example, you were trying to find the arcsine of negative radical 3 over 2. So once again, when you're looking for arcsine or arctangent, you're only looking on this side of the unit circle. So negative square root 3 over 2. Since sine is talking about the y-coordinate, we would find it here at what looks like 300 degrees. However, since for arcsine it has to be between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2, or negative 90 and positive 90, we need to just give the angle that actually fits in this area. So if this is 300, but it has to be in this area, what is that negative angle? That's either negative 60 degrees or negative pi over 3. So it'd be either one of those answers, depending on whether or not it's asking it for it in degrees or radians. Let's try another one. Let's try arc cosine of negative square root 3 over 2. And remember, cosine, like we said, cosine of an angle is equal to the x-coordinate on the unit circle. So we need to find where that is. And cosine, like I advised before, is in this area. And arc cosine is looking for an angle between 0 and 180 degrees, or between 0 and pi. So cosine negative 3 over 2 corresponds, we find that here, and that's 5 pi over 6, or the angle is 150 degrees. The last one we need to do an example of is arctan, or tangent to the -1. And just like sine, arctan has to be in this area of the unit circle. So let's say we want to find tangent to the -1 of square root of 3 over 3. Now tangent's a lot harder because tangent's not actually x or y, but rather tangent of an angle is y over x. So it's kind of up to us to figure out how in the world they got square root of 3 over 3, which of those angles it actually corresponds to. However, we have a few hints. We know it can't be down here in this area because in this area tangent is negative, so it has to be up here where tangent is positive. Then we have to come up with something that equals square root of 3 over 3. So it makes sense to start out by trying these two. Since they actually have square root of 3 in them, it might end up being what we want. Let's go ahead and try that though. So if tangent's y over x, we gotta try this top one, square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. And we'll try this other one after this. We would do 1/2 divided by square root of 3 over 2. We're just trying each of those out because one of those should be square root of 3 over 3, and then we'll find the angle we're looking for. So in order to divide by fractions, we'll multiply by the reciprocal. That's square root of 3 over 1. So it's not looking like it's going to be this. Let's make sure we try this bottom one. So times 2 over square root of 3. Those cancel out. We have 1 divided by square root of 3 multiplied by square root of 3 over square root of 3. And that's equal to, sorry I'm doing this all over the place, square root of 3 over 3. So that's actually the one we're looking for. So the tangent of, or arctangent of square root of 3 over 3 is equal to 30 degrees, or if it's in radians, pi over 6 radians.